welcome to Awakened Wellness, and I'm so glad that you could join us, Marie and myself, Jocelyn. We are glad to have you here, and as always, we have a terrific show, just opening your eyes, opening your spines, opening your minds to what is possible, how you can become the better you as you age. How can you age gracefully, be strong, not just like, oh, you know, I can take my little walks. Actually take care of yourself, identify what's going on, strengthen what you need to strengthen, and just be aware of what's going on around you. You don't have to go along for the ride. You can be the driver.
I like that.
Yeah. So Miss Marie is here again, and the title of the show today is Why Awakened Wellness? What is that all about? But before we dive into that, another interesting...
my recaps have to do with why awakened wellness.
Oh, I like it.
Okay, so the first one, this week it actually happened. I had a client that she woke up in the morning, she had a dream, and she had this weird feeling about her husband. Oh. And he came home from work early and he had bad belly pains, which he'd done many, many times, but that dream just set her off. Mm-hmm. And she was in super protective mode, and it ended up being severe appendicitis, and he made it to the hospital in time, and she was very shook up. But she asked to see what she needs to see every day, and she felt grateful because she didn't want to, she knew she had to get him to the hospital, but she knew this had happened before, but she knew he wasn't going to budge right away, and there was all this, but she felt so confident because she did have that dream and that awareness and confidence in herself. And so
it's not only for yourself, it's for your family as well.
Well, it's because you see more in every situation now that you're not,
which is why people come to you to have you help us see what we're not seeing or what are we missing.
She was really funny because she was sitting in my office yesterday with him, and she said to me, she goes, we decided we were going to get you a t-shirt. I go, you're going to get me a t-shirt? She goes, it's going to say the facilitator.
I like it.
And I said, I love that because that's what I want to do. I want to help you help yourself. I don't want to do it for you, but I want you to have all the tools that you need.
Oh, I think that's one of the best stories I've heard yet.
Yeah. So the next one was another situation with a couple, and he was not taking care of himself, and he ended up in a very bad way. And she had been through a lot, and she was just such a fighter, and she's here today because she was a fighter, and he's not going the same route. Oh. And that's a big struggle for her. But because she's been doing the work and she's seeing that, she's really starting to find the compassion she needs to be with him alongside it. Okay. To understand him, because she's realizing it's not about her. At first she was angry that he's ruining our lives, but now she realizes it's not about me.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
So that's a hard place and a hard awareness.
That's difficult.
It's very difficult, but she's really owning it, and yeah.
And not letting it affect her.
But that is awakened wellness,
still,
right?
It is.
Yeah. It's waking up to see that there's more, not just what you think is happening.
Correct. And you don't want to go that route, and you can identify that, and you can't always change everything, but it certainly makes you that much more aware.
Yep.
Wow. Boy, those are two hefty stories.
Well, the third
right
one
off
is
the
just
bat.
right out of it, too. Another couple. Like I said, these couples are doing it together, which is crazy. It's very cool. It's very cool. And one of them, again, had been through a lot. The other one has had some ups and downs, but he hasn't made any lifestyle changes, and his situation got worse. And she said to him, it doesn't surprise me. And he was so angry. And he couldn't understand why she would say such a thing. But because she had come to the realization that she had created most of her stuff, and that he was too, So, and she didn't say it in a bad way. She just was very matter-of-fact about it, and we talked about it for a long time, and I said, that's a really hard realization. She goes, but I knew. I go, I know you knew, but he didn't know. And she goes, he's still trying to figure it out, but I just assumed he knew because I knew. And I'm like, again, that's where the awakening comes from, that you're on your own journey and they're on their own journey. Even though you're walking it together, you don't see life the same way. And I hear it all the time, why is it up to me if I have to be the mediator, I have to be, and I go, there's no such thing. It's just where you're at. If you see it and they don't, however you want to respond to that is your choice.
Right.
Yeah, you can take them down and be mad at them, or you can see that they truly can't see it.
Right. And you don't always have to be the mediator. You can say, take a step back and see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't keep inserting yourself into something that's could be taxing you and upsetting you, because sometimes, which is even harder, is to stand on the outside to look in.
Yep.
We're always on the inside looking around.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So why Awaken Wellness? So that's why we're doing it today.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot going on that way for me, and I've been seeing a lot more. If nothing changes, nothing can change.
If nothing changes, nothing can change. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a big one with Awaken Wellness. I have a lot of women that will go through breast cancer, and then they have to take the drugs after. And the statistics on the drugs, I mean, it may be 5% or 2% of reoccurrence, but the side effects are horrific. And then they have to make the decision on whether they want to take the drugs or not, because a lot of them are having horrible side effects.
Correct.
And I can't make that decision for them. But I say to them all the time, if nothing changes, nothing can change. And they're like, what does that mean? I go, are you in the same body and energy and lifestyle that created the cancer? Have you made one change since your diagnosis?
Or have you simply done what was set in front of you and then expected?
So if you're in the same body, going down the same path with the same energy that's turmoiled, lifestyle, nutrition, lack of exercise,
If you haven't changed anything since the diagnosis,
you're just going to create the same scenario all over again, right? That's insanity. So if nothing changes, nothing can change.
Interesting.
And that's where Awaken Wellness comes in, because we start to realize that. We start to own some things.
Right. By going out and wearing those, cheap little sneakers when I'm doing all this excessive work, I'm setting myself up for an injury, and not owning the fact that just, don't make excuses, get a good pair of shoes.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right. So without a way to observe yourself and your actions, you'll continue to ride the wave, right? So that's where Awaken Wellness comes in. It's tools to start to look in the mirror.
Okay.
To start to see what you need to change. I had a guy come in yesterday, and he said to me, he says, I didn't like it at first. He said, but I've seen my relationship with my wife change, my kids change, my friends change. He says, I see them all differently. I'm less judgy. He goes, I kind of want more. And I was like, good for you. He goes, no, I really want more.
That's huge.
Yeah, because people don't know that they can have it. They don't know that they can have it.
We get on this treadmill, and we're told that this treadmill is good for you, and the more you run on the treadmill, the better everything's going to be. You'll have a bigger car and a bigger house and a bigger this. But meanwhile, your health, your welfare, your well-being that this man is now identified was never a part of that. And now he's been able to step off and take a rest and discover the fact that, wow, I want more.
Right.
Right.
Can
you imagine the world if everybody had that?
I know. I know.
We'd have world peace.
Yep. So I have this group of, I don't know what middle-aged is now. I don't even understand. What is middle-aged now?
I don't know. I think it's here.
Older gentlemen.
Okay.
And they have a cigar club.
Oh.
Yeah. And they're all drinking the Kool-Aid, let's say. They're all doing better. They're all working on their relationships. They're working on themselves. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And they make jokes. I get texts all the time. It was cigar night, Tuesday night, and we talked about sports, news, and then this. And I'm laughing. But some of them want it, but
others
they want it more for them. And yeah, it's kind of cool to watch. Yeah, to see. And it was funny because I was watching this show the other day, and there's some guy that just wrote a book about getting to the point now. What is it? Getting rid of the small talk and stuff. And he talked a lot about rappers and how there was one in the news recently that had done something bad but he said it's not putting the spotlight on what should be being, because right now there's a lot of rappers writing a lot of powerful music about going to therapy, about seeing life from a different perspective, about realizing that they shouldn't be doing the things
And
that
this is now distracted
Yeah.
from, which it seems to be in our world right now. There always seems to be a distraction so you can't see what's going on here.
Right. Yeah, but awakened wellness is not just here.
Right.
It's a global thing. People are waking up to realize we want more for ourselves.
We want better food. We want better
Yeah.
time with our families.
Yeah.
We want better opportunity to get healthy, better opportunity to talk with others without having it to be on a certain subject. Just relax and like each other,
Yep.
which is what you're saying in these relationships.
Yep.
They're actually liking each other again.
They are, and they're learning together, which is so cool. And even the guys are learning together, where I would have never thought a bunch of, late 50s, early 60-year-old men would start talking about life and really learning and grouping up together. And they're talking about doing energy work on themselves. And, they're all working out differently. They're all eating differently. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would never have, I'd never have picked that group. No, but yay, guys. I love it.
But it all goes back to, someone said to me, well, they smoke cigars. I go, who cares? Who cares? You are who you are.
Exactly.
Just build on where you're at and get better where you need to. And then if that's something that you need to lose for your health, you will eventually lose it.
Right.
But there is no one environment. It doesn't have to be in a yoga studio. It doesn't have to be in a meditation room.
You don't
life is
have
our
to
best
eat. Yeah, you don't have to eat like a rabbit. You don't have to be in the studio.
No, life is our best classroom.
Yeah, make everything work together.
Yep. So energy patterns are awakened wellness. The biggest energy pattern I see, and there's even a commercial about it, is so you don't become your parent, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a biggie.
And people don't know why they do it, and it's always because you don't have another option, because we live in reaction. So if you don't have another way to handle a situation, you're going to go back to what's embedded in you.
Correct. Fall back to what's safe, fall back to what you know. And as I think you've said many times, just
the only way to
just
do that
listen.
is to get uncomfortable. If you really want to change and really want to look in the mirror and really want a different way that your life's path's going to change, you have to get uncomfortable. And you have to make a decision. I'm going to push past this discomfort and make a choice I don't normally make and just see where it takes me. I'm going to make my meatloaf different this time. Yeah, or whatever it is. Yeah, whatever it is,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to stay up past 10 o'clock and do my meditation, but I only do it in the morning. I had somebody tell me that the other day, I can't do that at night. Yeah, I'm like, because you eat dinner, you do this, you do this, you do this, and it doesn't fit in there. Like I said, you got to get uncomfortable.
Well, I guess people would. So the other night, I wanted ice cream. So that's what I had for dinner.
Well, good for you. How'd you feel the next morning?
Not bad, actually.
Oh, good. Then maybe you needed the fat.
My body said, you want an ice cream? And it came dinner time, and I went, I'm good.
Good.
So there was a time when I would never have done that. Oh no, you gotta have your dinner and then you get dessert if you're a good person and eat your vegetables. And I just said, I'm going straight to dessert. Once, haven't done it again, but what the heck?
Yep.
Live life on the edge a little bit.
Another way to practice awakened wellness, or not really practice it, it kind of happens to you.
Okay.
Because you're stuck in the energy patterns and nothing changes, because nothing can change. Yeah. Something's going to happen, and that's going to shift you out of it.
So if you're stuck in that rote, same thing every single day, rinse, repeat, something's got to give.
And something will give. Always does.
Yep.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have backed up ERs, would we?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And we shouldn't be surprised.
We wouldn't have the car accidents that we have right now. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Boy, this just touches everything, doesn't it? It affects everything around you.
If you don't wake up and choose to wake up and choose to look in the mirror and choose to start making changes and start changing the energy, your energy is going to beeline and it's going to run out sooner or later.
Right,
Your
because there's
options will
nothing
run out.
feeding it. You're not
Well, there's no
fixing it,
new
you're
information or flow coming through to get you out of the direction you're
Right.
going in.
That's interesting. I have found myself like actually leaving the house and turning the TV off. My mom watches TV a lot. She's older. And I can't do it anymore. I just literally cannot do it anymore. I can't listen.
And that's okay.
And so I go outside.
That's
What are you
good.
doing? I'm outside.
That's good.
Listen, if you're uncomfortable, move away from it. Don't sit there and try and analyze. Why do I feel uncomfortable? I don't know. It's uncomfortable. I'm going over here.
So I have an acquaintance of a client. He recently was a very strong, opinionated person about religion, self-healing, politics, all of that. So again, that's somebody who doesn't let a lot of information in, just goes right through. So he had a medical condition and he tried to treat it naturally because he doesn't like medicine either.
Okay.
It didn't work out so good for him. Yeah. And it's catastrophic because his beliefs are so strong and so etched. So now you've got to go into a system that you don't trust.
Which makes things 100 times worse because you've been so rigid and unable to even listen.
Yeah, so be careful how hard we buy into our stories. I mean, you can have a belief in something, but make sure that you're able to veer if needed.
Well, I think you said in the chiropractic in you that you want to make sure that you're being assessed and you're reassessing.
All the time.
This could apply in this instance.
Right.
Make sure you're reassessing your belief system. Make sure that you're not just blindly stuck to it because it's what you know.
Right. And Awaken Wellness just opens you up to seeing that there's more in every situation. It's not just what you think is there. And with medicine, it's going to get worse because the ERs are backed up. People can't get into their doctors. When they get there, they're getting very little help. So people are getting very negative about medicine. So when they need it, it's harder for them to go toward it. And there's enough information out there on the other side of the fence to feed that ego line of telling you, if you do this, you don't need that. And I'm not saying that they're not right sometimes, but sometimes you gotta go.
Yep, you have to go.
Sometimes you gotta go.
You have to balance it. You have to go to find out, and you have to balance it and figure out, is this going to work or is this going to work? And it sounds like in this gentleman's case that he needed
He lost his leg.
Oh.
Yes. I've seen people die in that situation over and over again because you get so stuck in your beliefs and there's no veering, because the more you stick to one way of thinking and you don't let anything else in, your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. The more you take in information and you try it all and you don't have an opinion about it until you find exactly what works for you, your world gets bigger.
Right.
So as you age, do you want to get smaller? Because you eventually don't leave your home or your TV, right?
Correct. You don't. You stay in a very comfort zone and you stick with your own opinions, and you actually have conversations with yourself that you shouldn't be having.
Yeah.
And not able to
So you want
hear.
to keep your world open and your brain working. It's not about doing a Sudoku. It's not about doing a crossword puzzle. It's about using your brain to problem solve and make choices. That's how you stay young.
Well, and if an alternative opinion, medicine, treatment, whatever you want to use for a word, if you're not listening or at least entertaining that conversation, you're never actually making a true decision for yourself.
Right.
So you don't really have all the facts. What I'm hearing is all these little sayings in my head from our grandparents that if you don't have all the facts, you can't really make an informed decision, can you?
Right.
And that applies to everything that we do.
Right.
Health-wise. So, wow.
So Awaken,
Very powerful.
we're going to keep going. So another one with Awaken Wellness, I have a young client, and he's had some traumas, and his body's had a lot of, he's disabled.
Okay.
So after 2 sessions, he was doing incredibly well, but he wasn't doing any of the stuff I gave him. And he's 16. And I said to him, how come you're not doing any of it? And he said, it's not like anything's ever going to change.
Ooh.
I went home and cried that night. I was so sad that he's turned the tables. He's 100 times better now. He's doing some of the stuff. He's still not sold on it yet, but he knows he's moving better, and he has a lot more options than he had. But he's been told for so long
that this is the way it's going to be. Nothing's going to change, and he's bought it.
At 16.
Yeah. You know, tomorrow there could be a breakthrough, and he wouldn't be able to.
But I also said to him, I said, it's a lot harder to fight for yourself than to be a victim.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Per the people you were talking to, who are doing better and getting stronger,
It's
and
hard work.
it's hard work because there's so many people that are against you or afraid.
And being somebody who's been injured her whole life, disabled and full of allergies and all kinds of things, it's a lonely road. And sometimes you want somebody to say to you, good job, or whatever, and support you and pick you up when you're down. But you can't wait for that. If you wait for that, you're never going to accomplish anything, because nobody's in your body. Nobody knows that your day is that hard. You know?
They don't know what you feel like.
Right.
They don't know that pain when you walk. They don't know
I had
that
a client
pain
say to
when
me
you
the
sit.
other day, she says, you don't know how hard it is. They said I have to food prep, and they said I have to eat only certain foods, and they said I have to do this and I have to do that. And I go, and I don't know how hard it is. She goes, you have no idea. I go, I'm going to walk you through one of my days. And she
flabbergasted?
She was just like, I don't even understand. I said, it's just who I am. I don't look bad at it. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do that, and I'm not on a couch.
Boy, I bet that shook up her world.
It's the way we look at things. It's the way we look at it, that we don't want to be that person that has to go the extra mile for ourselves. But if you don't, that's why we have nursing homes. That's why we have backed up ERs. So what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, that's how many times I've said, no, I can't go to dinner. No, I can't eat out. You know,
I mean, you
because
can
I was
still go
afraid,
and just get what you
but
want. Yeah, I'm
you
not
go
saying
there.
You should not ever avoid life.
Right.
You should not. But you just do what you need to do for you, but don't fall prey that you have to be like everyone else.
And how difficult it is when, oh, aren't you going to order this? Aren't you going to order that? No, thank you. I'm going to have this, this, and this. And it's kind of like, you can't, like you said, you can't stop your life because there's some limitations.
No.
You need to find a path around it, through it, over it, whatever it needs to be.
Yep.
Wow, food prep.
That's hard for people. That's hard for people.
I get it. Not my favorite thing to do, but when I have to, I do.
It's very hard for people. But Awaken Wellness gives you that perspective that it's not that hard, because look what you get on the backside. I have a great life. I'm the best I've ever been. So why wouldn't I do it?
Exactly. There's no downside.
There's no downside. And I just stay organized and it works. You know, I had another client that had his colon removed. That's a big hunk of scar tissue there. You're always going to pull down. Well, they fixed it. I go, you had a big hole. It's full of scar tissue. You have to mitigate that every day. And then he doesn't do anything. And then 6 months later, he comes in because he's all twisted again and he doesn't understand how it got there. Then we explain it again. And I give him things to do to keep his body straight every time. But he doesn't want to have to do it. But you are that. That's who you are. Why wouldn't you want to mitigate that? Because if you don't, you're going to end up blowing a vertebrae sooner or later, and then it's not going to correct.
Correct. I almost feel that in our schools, we need to have food prep. We need to have awakened wellness.
We should have body awareness.
We need to have biology.
But that's just another project right now.
No, no, you don't have to do it yet. It's okay. Well, you know, I think when we win giant Powerball or something, we can do a center and people can come to school and learn that. But I think that we need our young people right down at 3 and 4 and 5 years old to understand, if you do this, it's going to affect that. If you do this, everything's just been wiped clean, that nothing matters. You can do whatever you want to do. And I think we've lost that whole process And we need to bring that back to the children. That I've seen videos in Japan where they have a kindergarten. The kids choose whether they want to sew or whether they want to meal prep or they want, it doesn't matter. And I was just totally intrigued by that. And that just made me think of that. Why don't we do that here? Why don't we teach the nutrition?
Because we got stuck on fast food and I mean, my dad worked for Sunbeam Bread when I was a kid and I was one of 9. So we were one of the fast food freezer full because we got the stale stuff all the time. So yeah, we were. And then the TV dinners came out and then mothers didn't want to be in the kitchen anymore.
Right, so
and it became a lifestyle. McDonald's came along, Coca-Cola, all of these things that were more enticing than working in the kitchen.
Yeah. How sad.
But then the industrial part, where we started putting it in the factories and then that became a moneymaker. So then the marketing piece came in and now we all believe that that's the way it should be.
I don't. It's too hard. I like the very simple. Just go buy your food and you make your food, and it's nice when there's a few things along the way.
I'm not saying you can't eat some of that stuff. I'm just saying, what does your body like? It depends on who you are and what your body can handle or not handle.
Which again, we don't know how to listen, and
if your cholesterol's up and your weight's up, you probably shouldn't be doing it. If your cholesterol's perfect, your blood sugars are perfect, your weight is awesome, your stress levels are down, and your body's 100%,
keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
I agree.
So I can't speak for anybody. You just got to ask yourself, Awaken Wellness is a way to wake up and say, what do I need? What am I willing to learn about myself? And am I willing to get uncomfortable? Because uncomfortable is where change happens.
Yep.
And if nothing changes,
then nothing can change.
Nothing can change. And you're going to keep, and you can say, I tell people tell me all the time, oh, I'm going to start next month. I'm going to start in the spring. I'm like, it's the fall.
Yeah. Now. I'll give you till tomorrow. Yeah. I'll be generous.
I mean, that's a lot of months of still beating that horse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot can happen
they don't
in that
see
time.
it that way because everything's got to be right. No, just take one little piece out of it. One little piece.
Yep, baby steps.
Because it's like having kids. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to be ready.
And there's no book either.
Nope. Nope.
Well, again, another fabulous show, Miss Marie. And I'm excited for our next 2 shows coming up. So tell people where they can reach you again. awakenwellness.life and info.awakenwellness@gmail.com. Excellent. And love to hear your comments, your questions, and anything that you're doing wonderfully that you'd like to share with everybody. See you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.